Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Battle Through the Heavens Part 143 based on novel. So let's start. Within the stone tower, Xiao Yang watched the old figure, who was shutting his eyes tightly while being engulfed by the flame. His heart sighed in relief when he did not sense any unexpected occurrence. Currently, the body had already been successfully refined. The next step had nothing to do with Xiao Yang. As long as Yao Lao was able to successfully and perfectly merge with this body, he would truly be able to revive. Xiao Yang rubbed the cold sweat off his forehead. The continuous refinement of the body during these few days had been a great exhaustion to Xiao Yang. Fortunately, there were quite a number of medicinal pills within his storage ring that provided him with a great stamina. It was due to this that he had successfully endured through it. Teacher, the subsequent matters will depend on you, Xiao Yang softly muttered. After which, he sat on a stone platform by the side. His eyes were slowly shut as he entered his training mode and began to recover from the enormous exhaustion that was created during this period of time. After Xiao Yang entered his training mode, the stone tower once again descended into a silence. Only the low and deep sound of a burning flame resounded within the stone tower with a rhythm. Half a day swiftly flew past after Xiao Yang shut his eyes and trained. Only after the do qi that his body had exhausted was completely recovered did he slowly open his eyes. A faint glow flashed across his dark black eyes and he immediately became quiet. After recovering from his condition, Xiao Yang's eyes glanced towards the stone platform. However, he only saw that Yao Lao still had his eyes shut. Not the slightest activity was emitted. Xiao Yang frowned slightly when he saw this. However, he did not panic. This occurrence was ordinary. The various things used on this body were not ordinary. It was not as easy as one imagined for Yao Lao to completely merge with them. Currently, my strength still remains at the 1-star Dozun level. However, the benefits that these couple of big battles brought me is quite great. After careful observation, I should have reached the peak of a 1-star Dozun. Xiao Yang withdrew his thoughts and fell into a silence. After having swallowed the 3,000 burning flame, Xiao Yang's strength might have soared, but the speed after this soaring had once again returned to normal. According to this step-by-step training, it was likely that Xiao Yang would at least require another half a year in order to reach a 2-star Dozun. However, his relationship with the Hall of Soul becoming increasingly worse and had even ended up exchanging blows with them. Even though he was still fine until now, Xiao Yang understood that the true experts from the Hall of Soul had yet to appear. When these experts appeared, he would perhaps be out of luck. Therefore, he must raise his strength quickly in the face of the pressure from this enormous mountain known as the Hall of Soul. From Xiao Yang's perspective, the fastest method to raise his strength was undoubtedly to swallow heavenly flame. However, he had already obtained the 3,000 burning flame and he did not have any information about other heavenly flames. Xiao Yang did covert the sea heart flame of old Mu Ji Yu. However, ever since he had advanced to a Dozun, that old fellow appeared to have disappeared. Hence, he had also abandoned the thought of snatching the sea heart flame. Heavenly flame. Xiao Yang's finger gently rubbed against each other. A moment later, he was suddenly startled. He flicked his finger over his storage ring and a couple of ancient maps appeared in his hand. These 3 ancient map fragments were naturally the mysterious map that Xiao Yang had obtained many years ago. It recorded the information of the Heavenly Flame ranked 3rd on the Heavenly Flame ranking, purifying demonic lotus flame. With the increase in Xiao Yang's strength, Xiao Yang was also aware of the strength and rarity of these heavenly flames ranked at the front of the Heavenly Flame ranking. This purifying demonic lotus flame was known for its mysteriousness. Even Yao Lao had never seen this kind of heavenly flame. Xiao Yang had also checked through a great amount of information during these years and was similarly unable to obtain even the slightest news related to the purifying demonic lotus flame. If it was not because of the ancient map in his hand being the evidence, it was likely that even Xiao Yang would doubt that the so-called purifying demonic lotus flame existed in this world. 3 maps, it is still impossible to see anything. Xiao Yang carefully placed those 3 map fragments in front of him. He carefully studied them for a while, only to end up shaking his head helplessly. The Dochi continent was incomparably large. He was unable to tell where the location of the terrain recorded on the map was. Those winding and bending route caused Xiao Yang to have a headache looking at it. Looks like I must find the last ancient map. Otherwise, no one will ever know just where this purifying demonic lotus flame is located. Xiao Yang had no choice but to give up after some futile deep thought. His face was dispirited. He was already blessed by the heavens in order to be able to obtain these 3 ancient maps. That final ancient map was something that he had no clue about. He had also failed to obtain even the slightest information related to this ancient map during these years of searching. He wondered if the last map actually existed in this world. Now, all I can do is to pray that I will continue to be lucky. Xiao Yang sighed softly. He carefully kept these 3 ancient maps. No matter what the case was, this thing was related to the purifying demonic lotus flame. Even though the chances of him obtaining it was extremely low, Xiao Yang would still not give up. After keeping the ancient maps, Xiao Yang hesitated for a moment before clenching his hand. A couple of jade white bone fragments appeared in his hand. These bone fragments were naturally the Dosheng bone fragments that he had obtained from the ancient remains. Dosheng. An expert at this level already possessed a great might to destroy the world. Just by stomping his foot, a mountain would be annihilated. This kind of expert had already successfully understood creation. Every part of his body was something that an ordinary person dreamed to obtain. It was not an exaggeration to say that one could transform into a dragon and soar to the sky if one obtained a little of it. Take this Dosheng bone marrow as an example. If it was given to a baby or a child less than 5 years old, even if the child was a useless person before, his bones would be refined after consuming it and turn into a genius. It might be difficult to believe in such an effect, but it was indeed the truth. Xiao Yang's hand carefully rubbed these few jade white bone fragments. A moment later, he widened his mouth. Purple-brown flame was spat out and wrapped around these bone fragments. A frightening temperature spread immediately. These bone fragments were extremely hard. It was not easy to shatter them. If it was not because Xiao Yang possessed a strong heavenly flame like the 3000 lotus heart flame, it was likely that he could only simply watch the Dosheng bone fragment even if he knew that the Dosheng bone marrow was hidden within them. Of course, even with the aid of the heavenly flame, it was not an easy task to remove the Dosheng bone marrow from the bones. Fortunately, Xiao Yang was already mentally prepared. Therefore, his heart did not feel the least bit impatient when he saw that the rock-lined bones did not move even a little under the fierce burning flames. Instead, he steadily raised the temperature and slowly burned the bones. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye under this slow calcining by Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang once again withdrew from his training mode 2 days later. He watched the bone within the flame that had gradually turned grey in color. An involuntary smile appeared. His hand was extended into the flame before pressing gently. After his finger pressed on the grey bone, one could hear a puff sound. The bone became soft before transforming into grey bone ashes that slowly scattered downwards. After these bone ashes scattered, 3 thumb-sized cream-white gel-like things appeared in front of Xiao Yang's eyes. These 3 gel-like things were extremely small. Their surface possessed a colloid-like substance. When one's gaze looked through this layer, one could vaguely see the liquid slowly flowing within them. A wave of shocking mysterious energy quietly seeped out, causing a heat to gradually surge up Xiao Yang's eyes. Xiao Yang took out a jade bottle from his storage ring and carefully placed 2 Dosheng bone marrow gel-like particles into it. After which, his finger pressed on the 3rd one. He hesitated for a moment before gently stuffing it into his mouth. The gel particles had basically dissolved in an instant. Before he could wait for Xiao Yang to recover, ocean-like majestic pure energy poured down like floodwater. It followed his throat and poured down. After which, his whizzed and swept apart and surged towards the 4 limbs and bones of Xiao Yang. The frightening energy that poured in abruptly caused Xiao Yang's body temperature to be raised swiftly. Curling white smoke rose on his head. Xiao Yang hurriedly sat down when he sensed the transformation of his body. He swiftly entered his training mode and began to refine the sudden majestic energy. This refinement continued for 3 days before Xiao Yang tightly shut eyes slowly opened. He sensed the unprecedented feeling of being filled with energy and involuntarily inhaled a gentle breath of air. Based on his senses, he had directly broke through from the 1-star level to the 2-star level. The miraculous effort that was present within a bone marrow gel piece was something that an ordinary Tier 7 and Tier 8 medicinal pill could not be compared with. There were not many medicinal pills that could raise the strength of an expert dozun by 1 star. He exhaled a long breath of air and raised his eyes to look at the stone platform. Yao Lao at that spot continued to keep his eyes shut. There was a sign of it waking up. It seemed that the body this time around was too strong. Even with teacher's strength, he was unable to easily control it. Xiao Yang fell into a deep thought. He helplessly shook his head and mused for a moment before deciding to exit the tower first and allowed Yao Lao to complete the merger here. When Xiao Yang had just made his mind, he suddenly sensed that the entire stone tower violently trembled at this moment. Soon after, a cold cry that was filled with murderous intent sounded over this sky in a mighty manner. Falling Star Pavilion. Hand over Xiao Yang and Yao Chen. Otherwise, today, I will wash this place in blood. Bang! Xiao Yang's cry spread in a vast and mighty manner. Xiao Yang's expression changed intensely. His body suddenly stood up and his eyes looked towards the stone platform in a dense manner. Hall of Soul, has it finally arrived? All the disciples on the Falling Star Mountain stood up at this moment. Their gazes were surprised as they looked at the distant sky. Due to the defensive formation that was naturally formed by the meteorite, they were unable to see the situation outside. However, they were vaguely able to sense that the Falling Star Pavilion seemed to be faced with a great calamity. Feng Zunja and the others were gathered on a square on the mountain top. Their expressions were grave as they looked at the sky. The Hall of Soul have come, Tianhua Zunja knitted his brows and spoke in a deep voice. There are many strong auras outside. This time around, it seems that the Hall of Soul really intend to wash the Falling Star Pavilion in blood as a deterrent to others. A solemnness appeared on Little Fairy Doctor's face as she spoke. Feng Zunja nodded slightly. However, his expression was calm. He was aware that this day would arrive sooner or later. It was just a matter of time. Feng Zunja slowly stepped forward. The seal in his hand changed and the falling star array in the sky rippled. Immediately, the space slowly became distorted and the situation outside clearly appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Hiss! Everyone involuntarily inhaled a breath of cool air when they saw the scene in the outside world. Currently, the area outside of the Falling Star Pavilion had been surrounded by black fog that permeated the sky. Nearly 100 figures stood on the black fog in the sky a short distance in front of them. Dark and dense eyes penetrated through the formation and saw Feng Zunja's group that was hiding within it. Old Ghost Zai Xing. This old ghost has also come. Little Fairy Doctor glanced and found a familiar face amongst the many black-clothed people. Her face turned cold as she said, "There is also the Hei Bai Jianzuan whom we had met back then." Feng Zunja shook his head and slowly said. The faces of Little Fairy Doctor's group involuntarily changed when they heard these words of his. Their gaze looked towards where Feng Zunja was watching and did indeed see 2 old men in black and white clothes standing there. From the appearance of these 2, they were surprisingly the Hei Bai Jianzuan whom they had met once at the Death Soul Mountain Range. 3 elite Jianzuns had actually arrived. This Hall of Soul really seems to think highly of us. Feng Zunja let out a long exhale as he said. Pavilion Chief Feng, what should we do now? The Hall of Soul has launched a big campaign. Moreover, from this momentum, it seems that they are not merely here to demand for someone. An elder from the Falling Star Pavilion spoke with a somewhat terrified expression. What is there to panic about? The Hall of Soul is not some kind association. They are planning to wash the Falling Star Pavilion in blood. Otherwise, why would they directly dispatch 3 elite Jianzuns? Feng Zunja frowned and chided. After which, his eyes looked around the star realm. He watched those thousands of Falling Star Pavilion disciples and spoke in a deep voice. Therefore, there is no other path except to engage in an all-out fight. Everyone here are elders within the Falling Star Pavilion. Today, the Falling Star Pavilion is faced with a calamity that we have never faced before. All of you plan to. Feng Zunz's searing gazes turned towards the many elders of the Falling Star Pavilion and said, Pavilion Chief Feng, the Falling Star Pavilion is our root. The amount of effort we have put in for it is not less than anyone. Regardless of whoever it is that wish to destroy it, we will all fight to our deaths against them. The many elders had solemn expressions as they cried out in unison. Good. Feng Xian, really have good eyesight. In that case, let out fight till our deaths. I wish to see just how dominating this Hall of Soul can be. Feng Zunzi cried out with a great force, causing the morale of all the Falling Star Pavilion's disciples to be braced. From the perspective of many people here, the Falling Star Pavilion was their root. If it was destroyed by others, what face would they have to roam the Central Plains in the future? Feng Zunzi, the old me advise you to obediently hand the people over. This Falling Star Pavilion's great formation cannot protect you. Old Ghost Zhaixing's eyes were dark and dense as he looked at the space below. Although it was merely a sea of trees, he understood that this was only because of the Falling Star Pavilion great formation. The cold cry sounded, but no response was given. Old Ghost Zhaixing involuntarily laughed out coldly when he saw this. His gaze turned towards the black-white clothed elders by the side and said, Let's attack together and break the formation. The activity from this trip of ours is too big. It is likely that the eyes from quite a number of factions had followed us. Therefore, we must use a bloody method to suppress the Falling Star Pavilion and use this opportunity to allow the other factions on the Central Plains to be aware that our Hall of Soul is not something that just anyone is qualified to offend. That black-white Tianzuns nodded slightly when they heard this. Their gazes glanced below before raising their hands at the same time. After which, they violently grabbed the space below. After the hands of those three were clenched, a frightening spatial strength hurriedly spread over the place. 3 invisible large hands grabbed heavily onto the empty space. A light surged immediately and an invisible light barrier containing the glow of the stars appeared in front of everyone's eyes from nowhere. Break it! Old Ghost Zhaixing coldly cried out. He suddenly clenched his hand violently. That invisible large hand violently smashed onto the invisible light barrier. Bang! A fist landed and numerous ripples spread on the light barrier. A loud rumbling sound resounded over the sky in a thunder-like manner. Bang bang bang! Following closely behind Old Ghost Zhaixing, the frightening wind from the black-white Tianzuns also swept down from the sky. Immediately, it poured onto the light in a storm-like manner. Under this fierce attack by 3 elite Dozuns who had reached the 5-star Dozun level, that light had become shaky. All the disciples within the Falling Star Pavilion looked at the repeatedly trembling light barrier from within the star realm. They suddenly held their weapons in their hands with a greater force. The Great Formation is unable to endure the attacks from the 3 of them. Feng Zunzi watched the light barrier that was about to be shattered. His expression sunk slightly as he said, The Hall of Soul has sent 3 Tianzuns over this time around. There are also 7 Dozuns. Quite a number of Dozuns has also come. Feng Zunzi's eyes flickered as he spoke in a deep voice. The 7 Dozuns and the other experts are not considered troublesome to deal with. However, Old Ghost Zhaixing Trio is a great trouble. His voice paused before suddenly clenched his teeth and spoke, I will block both the black-white Tianzuns. How can you alone be a match for the 2 of them? Little Fairy Doctor and the rest frowned immediately when they heard this. The other elders of the Falling Star Pavilion also had a drastic change in expressions as they continuously objected. There is no need to defeat them. All that we need to do is to delay the time until Yao Chen successfully exit his retreat. Feng Zunzi inhaled a deep breath and said. Everyone became quiet when they heard this. It had been half a month since Xiao Yang and Yao Lao had entered the stone tower. However, not even the slightest news was transmitted from it. Just what use this little bit of time was to them. I will deal with Old Ghost Zhaixing. Leave one of the black-white Tianzuns to the Sky Demon puppet. As for the other Tianzun, Little Fairy Doctor and Tianhua Zunzi will join hands to deal with him. While everyone were quietly and helpless, calm voice suddenly resounded. Immediately, that skinny figure that caused Little Fairy Doctor's group to calm down, also slowly appeared in the midair above the mountain. That is, Junior Pavilion Chief Xiao Yang? He has exited from the retreat. The attention of all of the disciples within the Falling Star Pavilion was braced when Xiao Yang appeared. During these years, Xiao Yang could be considered to have really made a name for himself in the Central Plains. Everyone within the Falling Star Pavilion were also aware of his strength. His appearance was just like a great strength, causing the morale of the Falling Star Pavilion to surge. You have come out? What about Yao Chen? A joy immediately surfaced on Feng Zunge's face when he saw Xiao Yang appeared. He hurriedly asked the question. He still needs time. Xiao Yang slowly shook his head. His gaze looked at the repeatedly shaking light barrier. A densely cold-faced old ghost Zhaixing was outside of the light barrier. There was a cold glint flashing across his dark black eyes when he did so. This old ghost was really too hateful. Time and time again this old ghost had come and find trouble. This time around, he will definitely not allow this old ghost to escape. Leave the last Tianzuan to me. Allow Little Fairy Dr. Jiejie and the rest to block the other elite Dozuns. Qing Lin by the side hesitated for a moment before she suddenly spoke softly. Little Fairy Doctor was startled when she heard this. She glanced at Qing Lin, smiled warmly and said, "It's fine, old Mr. Yao, and I can block him." Xiao Yang's eyes also turned towards Qing Lin. The latter smiled at him. She crossed her hands together and said, "Young Master Xiao Yang, you can be rest assured. I can block him." Xiao Yang knitted his brow slightly when he saw Qing Lin's insistence. Finally, he nodded slightly. Although Qing Lin's strength was only that of a one-star Dozun, she possessed a mysterious treasure like the triple jade green snake flower pupils. Moreover, her body also hid the soul of an ancient heaven serpent. Such a ferocious being was something that even Xiao Yang was unusually afraid of. From the looks of her appearance, it was likely that she was not merely putting up a brave front. Little Fairy Doctor was also startled when she saw Xiao Yang actually agreeing with Qing Lin. Immediately, she felt helpless. However, her heart was also a little rest assured. She understood that Xiao Yang was not a reckless person. He would not allow Qing Lin to fight with a Hall of Soul Tianzuan without reason. Since he did this, it was likely that he had his reasons and his confidence. Xiao Yang waved his hand. 11 puppets appeared in the midair. After which, his gaze was lifted and he slowly said, "Open the Great Formation." It is about to be broken. Feng Zunge also nodded when he heard this. His hand seal changed and the light barrier in the sky trembled before slowly scattering. Following the disappearance of this light barrier, the entire place gradually became dark. The black fog that permeated the sky also appeared in front of everyone's gaze in close proximity. Old Ghost Zhaixing smiled coldly as he watched the slowly scattering light barrier in the sky. Immediately, his gaze penetrated through the space and looked towards the skinny figure standing on the mountain top. His dense voice carried a bone-chilling coldness as it resounded over the entire sky. "Xiao Yang, I have said that we will meet each other again. This time around, the old me will see just who will be able to rescue you." Xiao Yang was expressionless upon hearing the dense ferocious laughter of old Ghost Zhaixing. His body slowly rose into the air and looked towards the black fog that spread over the sky. It was likely that such a large lineup had already attracted the attention of quite a number of factions. Based on his guess, it was likely that the area outside of the Falling Star Pavilion was already filled with the spies of other factions. There were countless number of hidden powerful factions within the Central Plains. The fight between these factions was also extremely intense. The Falling Star Pavilion had received many challenges since it was established to become one of the 4 great pavilions. However, this time around, it was undoubtedly facing its most dangerous situation in its history. If they could endure through it, the reputation of the Falling Star Pavilion would definitely soar and toss the other 3 pavilions far behind it. If it was unable to do so, it was likely that the Falling Star Pavilion will forever disappear on this Central Plains. Old Ghost, your nonsense is really as much as it has ever been. Just attack and quickly finish them off. You have already failed a couple of times. If you end up failing again this time around, you should be clearer than anyone else just what your fate will be. The black-white Tianzuns in the sky glanced at old ghost Xiao and spoke faintly. Humph, your reminder is unnecessary. Hearing this, old ghost Xiao's face sunk as he spoke coldly. Although he spoke in this manner, a dark denseness also gradually appeared in old ghost Xiao's eyes. He stared at Xiao Yang, who was suspended in the midair, and laughed coldly. After which, he suddenly waved his hand. Wash the falling star pavilion in blood. Understood. Hearing the cold cry of old ghost Xiao, the many experts from the falling star pavilion also cried out in unison. Powerful Do Chi spluttered out. Immediately, black chains shot explosively towards the star realm from all directions while emitting waves of clang sound. Charge! A deafening murderous cry resounded over this entire place. The originally peaceful star realm swiftly became a place filled with a killing aura. Xiao Yang's figure was suspended in the midair. His gaze stared intently at old ghost Xiao. Those Hall of Soul experts scattered on their own when they had reached 100 feet from him and rushed into the star realm. Brat, this time around, the old me will definitely personally capture you back to the Hall of Soul. At that time, the old me will let you understand what it means by a fate worse than death. Old ghost Xiao's face was filled with a savage viciousness as he looked at Xiao Yang. His foot suddenly stomped on the empty air and he directly charged explosively towards Xiao Yang. When old ghost Xiao attacked, the black-white Tianzuns exchanged gazes with each other and nodded slightly. Their feet stepped on the empty air and entered the star realm. When their footsteps landed, an ocean-like vast and mighty Do Chi slowly swept out, causing the energy of this entire world to fluctuate. Just when the black-white Tianzuns were planning on entering the star realm and engage in a massacre, a golden light rushed over. After which, it charged straight towards the both of them. A puppet that can fight against a 4-star Dozun is really rare. Leave it to me, the black-clothed black Tianzun glanced at the sky demon puppet that was charging over aggressively. A faint surprise flashed across his eyes as he spoke. It looks like the massacre can only be done by me. White Tianzun laughed in a dense manner. His body moved and he made a detour around the sky demon puppet that had rushed over. However, he had just taken a couple of steps when a delicate small figure blocked the space in front of him and laughingly spoke to him, "Old man, allow me to be your opponent." White Tianzun was startled when he saw this pretty girl, who had suddenly appeared in front of him. His eyes remained indifferent and was not the least bit affected by the latter's status or appearance. He nodded slightly and his shoulders shook. Vast and mighty aura surged out explosively and swept towards Qinglin. Qinglin hurriedly focused her attention when she saw that this old fellow had delivered a killing blow as his first attack. 3 black dots slowly enlarged deep within her emerald eyes. After which, they turned into 3 demonic emerald flowers that surrounded her eyes before rotating slowly. And demonic and unusual energy ripple swiftly spread. Triple jade green snake flower pupils? This white Tianzuan was also an extremely experienced person. He had sensed the change in Qinglin's eyes the moment it occurred. He was immediately startled as he exclaimed, "You have guessed correctly." Qinglin smiled sweetly. The demonic and unusual glow within her eyes rotated rapidly. The Do Chi pressure that surged over from all directions was resolved. How unexpected! This world actually does possess such a mysterious eye. Unfortunately, you are too weak, White Tianzuan laughed faintly. His body moved and a couple of after-images appeared in the sky. He appeared in front of Qinglin almost instantly. Vast and mighty energy gathered on his hand. After which, it grabbed towards Qinglin. That may not be certain. Qinglin laughed. Her delicate seemingly boneless waist was gently twisted and her body escaped this restraint by White Tianzuan's hand and she swiftly pulled back. Humph! Seeing Qinglin dodge, a chillness appeared within White Tianzuan's eyes. He let out a snort and rushed outwards. Bang! During the time that Bai Tianzuan and Qinglin began to exchange blows, Xiao Yang and old ghost Xiao also violently collided together like meteorites. Frightening Dochi ripples swept apart in the midair, shaking those surrounding mountain peak until large mountain rocks fell continuously. At this moment, Xiao Yang and old ghost Xiaoxing had completely engaged in a head-on clash. The current him had already formally advanced to a 2-star Dozun level after having swallowed the Dosheng bone marrow. Adding the 3 changes of the Skyfire 3 mysterious change that had been activated, Xiao Yang already possessed the qualification to battle a 5-star Dozun head-on. He no longer need to be careful of the other party's attack like in the past. The one who felt this change of Xiao Yang most deeply was his opponent, old ghost Xiaoxing. The current him felt increasingly shocked within his heart each time he exchanged blows with Xiao Yang. When he had first met Xiao Yang back then, the latter was unable to even receive a palm from him head-on. Subsequently, within a short 1 year, the person who was an ant in his eyes back then had already possessed the qualification and strength to fight head-on with him. It had only been a short while but the strength of this brat had advanced again. If this continues, it is likely that even I will not be a match for him the next time we meet. Old ghost Xiaoxing's heart was shocked and furious as he sensed this sudden improvement of Xiao Yang. This feeling to watching himself being surpassed was really not a good one. This was especially the case when this person was his opponent. He really felt that it was difficult to eat and sleep. The current Xiao Yang had clearly reached a stage where old ghost Xiaoxing had difficulty eating and sleeping. A desire to kill surged within old ghost Xiaoxing's heart. His palm wind also became increasingly sharp. The vast and mighty Do Qi within his body whizzed and circulated like a monstrous floodwater. Finally, it followed the veins and spluttered out. Space cracked wherever the palm wind passed. Numerous dark black spatial crack lines spread apart, appearing like a ferocious large mouth. The attacks of old ghost Xiaoxing, which had suddenly become sharp, also attracted Xiao Yang's attention. His face revealed a cold smile. Although his strength had at the very most reached that of a 4-star Dozun after using the Skyfire 3 mysterious change, he possessed the help of the heavenly flame. This increase had caused him to no longer need to be afraid of old ghost Xiaoxing. Bang bang bang. 2 figures flashed like a ghost in the midair. Each time they made contact, a shocking loud sound would erupt. Waves after waves of wild and violent energy storms spread out continuously and resounded in the sky like muffled thunder. This intense battle condition caused one to be greatly speechless when looking at it. At this moment, the interior of the star realm was basically filled with murderous cries. Densely cold black fog spread over the place. The many falling star pavilion disciples were clustered together. They might not be a match for the experts of the Hall of Soul in a one-on-one match. However, when hundreds or thousands of them gathered together, even these experts were unable to gain victory within a short while. Feng Zunja, Little Fairy Doctor and the rest had also joined the battle at this moment. Quite a number of experts had joined this invasion by the Hall of Soul. Almost all of them were strong and vicious characters. Hence, even Feng Zunja's group also had to put in all their effort at this moment. There were quite a number of human figures in the distant sky far from the star realm. These were some experts from the Central Plains, who had come after hearing the news as well as the spies of some factions. The Hall of Soul had always been an extremely powerful faction on the Central Plains. Each of their action would attract countless number of gazes. Moreover, the Hall of Soul did not hide this mission. Hence, it had attracted quite a number of gazes. This time around, the Falling Star Pavilion has met with a great calamity. It had actually provoked the Hall of Soul to attack it. An old man, who had some relationship with the Falling Star Pavilion, sighed softly. If the Falling Star Pavilion is destroyed, a space would be created amongst the 4 pavilions. My Flowing Cloud Pavilion might be able to grasp the opportunity to fill it. Kai, given that little strength of your Flowing Cloud Pavilion, it is likely that your faction will be annihilated the day after you become one of the 4 great pavilions. What are you saying? Are you seeking death? Humph, do you think I am afraid of you? These places were undoubtedly a complete chaos. Some of the experts or factions that had some grudge with each other would occasionally end up erupting into a fiery hot battle should they argue. However, most of the gazes were currently pausing at the star realm. These small conflict naturally had difficulty attracting much attention. Although these people argued, most of them had a pessimistic attitude towards the fate of the Falling Star Pavilion today. Some of the experts, who possessed some relation with Feng Zunzhe and Yao Lao, struggled a little before gently sighing. Given the current strength of the Falling Star Pavilion, it was unable to fight with the Hall of Soul. Even with their help, it would be of little use. Instead, they would end up being dragged into the quagmire. While everyone was feeling regretful for the fate of the Falling Star Pavilion, the finger of the old man lying with his eyes shut on the stone platform suddenly trembled slightly. The moment his finger shook, the space within the stone tower also emitted a crack and exploded, transforming into many spatial fragments. They rolled down and was destroyed. This video will end here.